Hello, hello, welcome back everybody. Hope you're ready to do some yoga. So today we're going to not necessarily focus on a certain part of the body. We're just going to move and flow and breathe. But maybe the focus of your practice today being to just observe. Observe what is going on maybe around you, but then also observing what's going on inside. Any sensations you might feel in the body, observing the breath. And the tricky thing with observing that we like to practice a lot in yoga is observing without judgment, without analyzing why you notice something or why you feel a certain way. And especially as different stressors or triggers or things come up, not only on the mat, but just in our everyday lives, it's really easy for us to just get lost in those moments, right? Trying to analyze and think of why we're feeling a certain way. So today, in our practice today, we're just going to try to notice and observe without attaching it to just different reasons or thoughts, I guess. So hopefully that makes sense. I'll try to guide you through that as we flow. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Go ahead and find a seat. As always, you can be seated on the floor. Maybe you are seated at your desk in a chair, maybe in the car, wherever is comfortable and works for you today. But as you do so, feel free to just kind of shift that weight side to side a few times. Not only side to side, but maybe forward and back. Just start to settle into those hips, into the legs. Sometimes it helps to just move things around a little bit before we find stillness. So just taking your time getting there, but eventually finding a seat, finding a nice tall spine, maybe bringing those shoulders above the hips, the ears above those shoulders. And when you find your space, you can continue to move, or maybe you find some stillness. Maybe try closing those eyes, or if you'd rather keep them open, just finding a gentle gaze down at the floor. And as we begin, take a moment to just notice the air around you. You might feel a temperature of the air on your skin. Maybe you feel a slight breeze, or maybe there's a subtle smell in the air. And then noticing any sounds that you might hear. They might be coming from inside the room, maybe from somewhere else outside. Maybe just the sound of my voice, whatever it is, just noticing. And as you begin to notice things, try just putting a word to whatever it is that you notice. It helps to sometimes just acknowledge or recognize the things that come up. And then oftentimes that helps us better let it go. Maybe shifting from the sounds that you might hear to just observing or noticing where your body might be touching the floor or the seat underneath you. Maybe you can feel that connection on the bottom of the feet or the sides of the legs. Maybe underneath those hips or sitting bones. Noticing if you're putting a little more weight into one side than the other. And let's try turning that focus inward. Any sensations in the body that might draw your attention. Oftentimes as we're seated, you might feel a little tension in the lower back. Maybe in one hip or the other, maybe through the shoulders. Again, just whatever you notice. And just putting a word to whatever that is. And then waiting for the next thing to draw your attention. And the last thing, bringing that awareness to the breath. Noticing that air as it comes into the nose or the mouth, however you might be breathing. And just try to follow that breath as it moves in and out of the body. Maybe that breath just stays in the nose or the mouth. Or maybe you feel it go a little deeper into the chest or maybe even into the belly. Just observing your natural breath. What does it feel like? Are we breathing quickly or slowly? Shallow or deep? Trying to let go of why you're breathing or how you are breathing, but just observing it. Okay, let's try to stay with that breath, but if you are seated with those legs crossed, maybe try crossing the legs the other way. If you're seated a different way, feel free to stay just as you are. Let's just bring our hands to the tops of those legs. And on that next breath in, sitting up even taller, try to lift through the heart, through the shoulders, through the crown of the head, and then keeping or staying lifted as we roll those shoulders down the back. Just take a few shoulder rolls here as we inhale and lift the shoulders up. Exhaling as they come back and down. And then maybe taking that movement a little deeper into the torso. So as you inhale and lift those shoulders, we're also lifting the chest, maybe even lifting the gaze. And exhaling as the shoulders come down, maybe we relax through the chest and drop the gaze down. Just beginning to move into a few seated cat and cows. So as you inhale and lift, maybe try to reach the heart forward as well. The shoulders drop back. And then exhale as you round the shoulders forward. The belly draws in, the spine rounds. Just a couple more breaths here. If you find a spot that you just feel like you need to hold and give it a little attention or time, feel free to stay there for a few breaths. Otherwise, you can move with the breath, inhaling forward and up, and exhaling back and down. Let's take 2 more breaths here. And go ahead and slowly make your way back to that neutral spine. And then we're going to swing those feet around behind the body. So we come forward onto all fours. And then we're just going to walk these hands forward as far as we can as we reach our hips back towards the heels. Find a little extended child's pose. And as we keep our palms on the floor, maybe you gently start to shift your weight side to side. Moving through the hips, through the spine, through the shoulders. And as always, as we move through different postures, if you find a spot along the way you want to stay and hold or adjust or modify, always giving yourself permission to do so. All right, slowly coming back to center, go ahead and walk those hands up. So we come up onto those knees. You can be down low with hips on heels or up high with hips over knees. So whatever feels more comfortable for you. But next breath in, let's go ahead and reach those arms all the way up towards the ceiling, touching the hands at the top. Exhaling, hands to your heart. As we breathe in, we're going to open our arms out to the sides. So we've got our palms facing forward and just squeezing those shoulder blades together behind the body. Again, inhale, turning that gaze up, lifting the heart up. And then as we exhale, we're going to wrap those arms around. So just crossing those elbows, bringing fingertips to the back of the shoulders. And then inhaling as we open and extend, and exhale, maybe the other elbow comes on top as we cross. Again, just a couple times, moving with that breath. Maybe bringing awareness to the shoulders, to those fingertips. Again, just trying to notice what's going on here in the body, where you might feel a little opening, maybe through the front of the shoulders or the heart. Maybe you feel a little stretch. 2 more breaths here. And on that next breath out, go ahead and lower those arms all the way down to the floor and just take a few more circles with those shoulders. Okay, bringing those hands back to the floor, coming onto all fours, so bringing our shoulders right above our wrists and our hips right over our knees. Tops of the feet can just relax on the floor here. Now it's easy just to hang out and do nothing. You're welcome to do that. Or try to find some engagement through the core here as we engage through the belly, lifting it away from the floor, but we also try to reach forward and back. So forward through the crown of the head and back through the tailbone. So we have a nice strong base here. Grounding down into those palms, into the fingertips, a little bend in those elbows. And on that next breath in, let's lift our right leg. First, we're just gonna step it back, bringing the right toes to the floor and reaching the heel away from the body. As you inhale, try to reach the crown of the head forward. As you exhale, try to lift the right knee away from the mat, engaging the right thigh. One more breath here. And then next breath in, go ahead and just lift that right leg up. Try to keep those hips in line with one another, and let's add a little balance by reaching the left arm forward. You can keep the fingertips on the floor or reach it straight ahead. Now we're gonna move with our breath here. So as we inhale, we're gonna reach and extend, and on the exhale, we're gonna bring knee toward our elbow or our wrist underneath the torso. Inhaling as we reach, exhaling, drawing it in. Again, just try to move at the pace of your own breath here. Inhaling, extend. Exhale, engage through that core. 2 more times. And then we're gonna find a hold. So next breath in, reaching forward, reaching back. Let's bend through that right knee, and maybe that left hand, we reach back towards the foot. Your hand might just come to the hip, or maybe your hand finds the foot, and then you gently draw the foot away from the body. So anywhere along the way there is fine. We're just gonna hold for 2 more full breaths. Using that breath, again, to just help you refocus, to breathe through the discomfort. And exhale. Go ahead and slowly lower down. Maybe we come back onto those knees and making a few circles with that right wrist. All right, as you're ready, let's try the other side. So we'll bring both hands back to the floor. Knees are under those hips, finding your base first, so engaging. Try to hug all those muscles in around the spine, around the core. And then slowly, let's start with that left leg. First, just stepping it back, toes come to the floor, and just reaching the heel away from the body. Really engaging that left thigh, lifting the knee up away from the mat. And then see if you can reach the heart, the crown of the head, forward. And then as you're ready, next breath in, let's lift those toes off the floor, keeping the toes flexed. Those hips are in line. You might feel that stomach start to work a little more with that leg lifted. And then the right arm can come forward. Maybe you rest the hand on the floor, or you can reach fingers forward and that thumb pointing up. Nice deep breath in here as we reach a little further, and on the breath out, maybe bring elbow to knee or to wrist. Inhaling as we reach and extend. Exhale, drawing it in. And just a couple times with that breath. Maybe try following your hand with your gaze. See how that changes things. 2 more times. And next breath in, we're gonna hold. Pausing here, maybe you bend that left knee, maybe you reach the right hand back, just in that general direction, or foot can find the hand. Gently drawing the foot away from the body. 2 full breaths here, strong through the left arm, strong through the core. And exhale, go ahead and lower back down to the mat, slowly coming back up onto those knees. Feel free to make some circles with that left wrist, or you can shake it out. Awesome. All right, we're gonna bring those hands back to the floor, but slightly out in front of those shoulders. Reaching our hips back towards those heels and slowly lifting them up to find our downward dog. Take a few breaths here, maybe walk out those heels a few times. Just bending one knee towards the mat as you reach the opposite heel down, continuing to lift through both hips. And then as we relax both heels towards the floor, let's inhale forward to a high plank. Shoulders come above those wrists. And exhale, we're going to lift those hips back up, downward dog. 3 times here as we inhale forward to our plank. Exhaling, hips lift high. Inhaling forward, nice and strong. Engage through that core as you lift those hips. Last time as we come forward here, go ahead and lower to those knees. Drop in those hips and just reach in the heart forward. Check out those shoulders. Try to draw them back. And go ahead and slowly engage through that belly. Tuck in the toes, reaching the hips back up to your downward dog. Next breath in, let's lift our right leg. Reaching it up towards the ceiling. And then exhaling, drawing that right knee forward as we step that foot to the front. You can always reach back and help that ankle forward. Left knee's going to lower to the floor. And we're just going to bring right hand to right knee here. Left hand's going to stay on the floor. As you breathe in, try to reach the heart, the chest, towards the front of your mat. And on the breath out, we're slowly going to turn towards that front knee. Finding a gentle twist here. Now we're going to pause for a few breaths. Giving yourself some time to observe what you might feel through the body, through the hip, whatever draws your attention. And putting a word to whatever it is that you might notice. And then coming back to the breath. 2 more breaths here. And then go ahead and slowly come forward. We'll bring both hands to the floor. And let's lift that back knee so we can step the front foot to the back. Once again, downward dog. Checking in, noticing those hips, the legs. And then let's inhale forward, coming back to that plank. Exhale to those knees. This time let's bend those elbows and lower down to the mat. Inhaling, we'll lift the heart, lifting the shoulders, finding your cobra, whichever height feels comfortable for you. Exhaling as you lower back down. Inhaling back up to the knees, tuck in the toes, reaching those hips back, and then all the way up. Just slow, intentional movements so you can feel each spot along the way. When you're ready, next breath in, let's lift our left leg. Reaching it back and up. And on the breath out, we'll bend that left knee and drop forward, stepping that foot to the front. Maybe that right knee lowers down to the ground. Feel free to untuck those right toes. We'll keep our right hand on the floor, or if you have a block, always welcome to use that. Left hand will come to the left knee. Nice deep breath in, finding the breath as you reach and extend forward. And then on the breath out, slowly turning towards that left knee. Giving yourself a few moments here to find the breath, to notice what you feel through those hips or wherever else draws your attention. Maybe 2 more breaths here. Slowly making your way back to center. We'll bring both hands to the floor. Go ahead and lift the right knee so we can step the left foot to the back to that downward dog once again. And one more time, let's inhale forward to our plank. You can lower to those knees or stay on those toes. But on the exhale, let's bend those elbows, hugging them in along your sides as you lower down. Sliding those arms forward, coming into a Sphinx. Palms are on the floor. Maybe create a little space in between those fingers. Elbows are under those shoulders. Nice deep breath in as we try to sweep the heart forward through those arms as we draw those shoulders back. Maybe you can soften through the gaze, just looking down at the mat a few feet in front of you. Lifting tall through the crown of the head. Observing what's going on through the lower back, maybe through the legs. You might feel the tops of the thighs, the tops of the feet touching the floor, but see if we can let the thighs, the glute, relax here. Just engaging, working through the upper body. Again, 2 more breaths here. And then next breath in, go ahead and lift a tiny bit taller. And on the breath out, you can lower down, bringing those hands together out in front and just resting your forehead on those hands. Allowing the shoulders to soften, the chest to relax, the belly, the hips, everything to just soften on the mat. Just 2 more full breaths here. You can always use that breath when you notice those things that you observe, just taking your attention away. And then go ahead and bring those hands back underneath those shoulders. Nice deep breath in as we lift back up to those knees. And exhale as you reach hips back towards those heels, finding that child's pose once again. Forehead can hover over the floor or you can rest it on the floor. And maybe we bring those hands back along those sides. You can let those arms relax or you can bring your hands to the bottom of your feet. And if it feels okay on the neck, very slowly begin to lift the hips, rolling onto the top of your head. But we don't want much weight going into the head and the neck. So continue to press down into those legs as you lift the hips. And then just breathing into the tops of those shoulders. 1 more breath here. And then go ahead and exhale and release, coming all the way back down. Slowly extending those arms forward 1 more time. Let's walk both hands over to the right side, leaning those hips over to the left. Maybe that left hand comes on top of the right hand. Maybe noticing a little stretch through the left side body. And then we'll walk those hands back through center, maybe pausing in the center just for a breath to notice the right side versus the left. And then we'll walk both hands over to the left side, leaning the hips over to the right. Maybe right hand comes on top. And as you're ready, walking those hands back to center. Checking in with both sides of the body. And then slowly walking those hands up. I'm just coming back to a seat. You can stay on those knees or you can swing those feet around to the front. Just finding a comfortable space where you can sit nice and tall once again. Finishing that next breath out. And on that next inhale, let's extend those arms back up. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. And then just 1 more full breath together. We'll breathe in through the nose and exhale out through the mouth. Thank you for practicing with me today, for observing without judgment. I hope you can continue to practice that even off the mat. And have a wonderful rest of your day. We'll see you next time. Namaste.